Let's start with number 10 right here.
Minister Malcolm X.
Good news, the chariot is coming.
Who's the greatest? That's right.
Jim Brown takes the ball.
One Night in Miami, man. What was wrong with this movie? Too many black people?
Too many black men.
Too many black people.
Listen, you guys had a lot of movies this year, okay? So let's take it easy. Let's take it easy. You had Soul. All right. All right. Gotta drop it down a peg. We need more white movies. That's what I'm saying.
Hey everyone, support our Patreon, which helps us to continue bringing you our live streams, videos, and podcasts while bringing you new content such as exclusive live streams and animated shorts. So, people, we are entering the top 10 or bottom 10 worst movies of 2020 for Martin Thomas over here. Martin, anything you want to say? You want to introduce this? I can introduce your first movie, but is there anything you want to say before we do it?
I had a lot of the same criteria you did, and the things that I found offensive went toward the top.
Okay.
Especially with my top movie. But it was one of those where it was either something offensive or, wow, they had all the money and the resources, and this is what they did with it.
Okay.
And some of it was a little bit of a cash grab in there.
Okay. All right. Well, with that said, let's go ahead and get into your first entry here, starting at number 10. This is Martin's number 10 worst movie of 2020.
Diana, look at you. It's like not one day has passed.
Get used to it.
All right, Martin. Why number 10, man? Go ahead, you explain.
Because I was being generous.
Wonder Woman,
Wonder Woman,
everybody.
1984. Yeah, I was being nice about it. I know there's things people like about it. Of all the conversations I've had on this show and other places of what's wrong with it, I don't even get to exhaust all of them. And this movie, while it's not socially offensive, it is offensive in how it insults our intelligence. Really, when you stop and think about it, nobody's really that good in it, and it doesn't allow them to be. Pedro Pascal's okay. I've had people point out to me how Gal Gadot is not good, and looking back at it, I was like, yeah, you're actually kind of right. It had every reason to be good, if not better than the first one, and it is not at all. There's so many things I could go in about it, but just as a point where I feel like I'm picking on it or I just get exhausted. But man, all the way from the beginning to the end, it is a disappointment city.
Hey, let's go to your number 9 movie right here. I'll be honest with you, it's a movie that I forgot. I forgot existed.
That's what I figured.
Like a Boss.
Yes.
I forgot that movie.
I know.
Seriously,
I know.
That movie was out of my mind.
I know, because we saw it pre-COVID.
Did we?
Yeah,
we
did.
Wow.
We did, yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, we saw it early when you could still go to the movies to see stuff.
Wow, thank you for bringing back the memories, man.
Jesus.
And it's another one of those, hey, let's ad-lib our way through this.
Yep.
Some of this kind of works with the basic story. Then I remember what they did with Salma Hayek throughout the movie. And I was like, yeah, this was just terrible. The whole thing of like, we're going to put her with quote unquote fake breast, I guess, and fake teeth and a wig. And it's like, yeah, once you get to the crux of what you're doing here, none of this is funny.
Yeah, people, that has Rose Byrne and what's her name?
Tiffany Haddish.
Tiffany Haddish. I can't tell you any much more because I do not remember this.
Exactly.
I forgot. This movie's out of my head.
Wow.
I don't remember anything. I remember nothing about that. But when I saw it, I was like, what the fuck is that? Like a boss. I had to look it up. All right. But this is a movie that almost made my list. It didn't quite fit in, but it's definitely up there as a bad film. And this is a movie that we even got criticized for a good day or two. We were ostracized by the Hispanic community.
Oh yeah,
because of this film right here, which is your number 8 movie, Martin.
You heard of me?
Go rob a bank, rob your own mother. There's no excuses.
So, people, that is The Tax Collector, where Shia LaBeouf tried to convince people he was Mexican, even though I get in the movie he's white, because a lot of people got mad at us.
No. He's established that he's white, but he's I don't know what the term.
He's the director, man, with his Latin fetish.
Yes. Yeah,
What's his name? David Ayers.
David Ayers. Yes. I mean, of all the movies David Ayers has done, his Latin fetish was just fully out there, exposed, and it's just like, dude. This makes me feel bad that I let it slide so many times. You're like, wow, they really set him up. That whole scene where, like, I heard you're the devil. It's almost like a John Wick thing. And yet, from that point on, he ain't shit. He doesn't do anything. And it's just watching this go through, like, well, yeah, I'm going to get points because I mention everything that people in the Latin community love. As long as I mention stuff they like, they're going to love me.
Yeah, and I know that David Ayers written one of my favorite movies.
Sure.
Yeah. I just, and I know David Ayers works in the community, and he does actually I would say this much about the guy. He puts his money where his mouth is. He puts a lot of people in the inner cities to work. And that's cool. But yeah, this shit was just weird.
Yeah, it's weird.
It's just weird. It's just weird, man. It's like, because you keep doing this shit. It's like, I know what you know, but it's like, man, I want you to come out and just say, man, I wish I was Mexican, man.
Right. But and like in what he's doing, he's also propagating the idea that Latin people they're just a bunch of gangbangers.
That's what I was just about to say.
Yeah.
That's what I was about to say. I know you put these people to work, and and that's cool, and it does exist. But I don't know, man. It's just like it's always seems like and you do what you know. So I can say that the number 7 movie, and it's gonna pop in where it pops in. You might hear the dialogue stopping somewhere weird. But the number 7 movie for you is something I already had. I forgot what place it was for me, but I had it.
Wow, seems like you're living a dream.
The person sleeping next to you feels like a complete stranger.
Fatal Affair, Martin.
For no reason. He feels like a complete stranger. He feels like a complete stranger just so the movie can continue.
She just wanted some dick. That's all it is. That's all it was.
Just say what it is. Your ass got scared at the end, and you made this motherfucker mad. All right. So
you ever notice how much Omar Epps looks like TJ in this movie?
he really does.
Oh no, that's all I see now. Oh my god.
We got a friend named TJ.
And look what he did to that homeless person in the movie.
Oh, TJ fought a homeless person.
It's bad, but it is that fun to watch where honestly, you could just have a subgroup of these black thrillers with Fatale and Fatal Affair and Fall from Grace and just pop a bunch of popcorn and get all your sisters and aunts around and just watch it all day long.
That is true. That is very true. That is true. Yeah, people.
Yeah, there's just times when you're watching this and you're like, I want to try to give it the benefit of the doubt and get into it, but it's just ridiculous.
Yeah, I love it, but like I say, for all the reasons they don't want me to.
Yeah.
So, yeah, look at this, brother. Yeah, I'm gonna put that kung fu on you. You better have a home, bitch. Oh, man. Let's get into some different stuff that you had that I didn't.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I thought from this point forward it would be different.
No, because at number 6 on my worst of movies for 2020, I did not have this movie right here.
That signal freezes you. It stops you from doing anything illegal. Because your brother thought you were.
That is The Last Days of American Crime.
Yeah, I'm surprised you didn't have it. Here's a tip for anyone. If you're looking at a movie and you're trying to decide if you're going to watch it, and if it says also starring Michael Pitt, just stay away from that. Because he became one of those actors, like even in Boardwalk Empire, they got rid of him. Like, all right, this is overwrought and ridiculous. And especially when it gets to the end, you're like, all right, this is magic you guys are trying to pass off as science.
Yeah, this one, it's funny because this one I remember not liking. I even saw the name and I looked it up, but I was like, yeah, there's just so much other shit out there that I had that was worse than this for me. And that goes for the number 5 movie. I really wanted to put this on my list, but there were just some other things that took it over. And I really did, I vividly remember the review we talked about this movie. At number 5 for Martin's top 10 or bottom 10 2020 movies that were terrible, you have this.
I think it'd be safer if you both stay here for a while. Trust me, I'm not a killer.
Watch how I keep it.
So that features the appropriately named Ludacris.
Yeah, what about the name?
As a Bond villain,
As a Bond
Gold
villain.
Jaw.
Gold Jaw. And then we have Terry Crews as the title character, John Henry. Saban Films did this, and I'm sure they would think this was an intentional take on the John Henry legend because he has a sledgehammer at the end of the movie.
At the very end of the movie.
But I remember giving this a terrible review. I remember it vividly. It didn't go on my list because there were some other things that put it out, but go ahead.
This movie was just a waste of film. I mean, for all the hype about him being John Henry, a better John Henry movie is Steel, to be honest. This has been it's either been lame, half written, or just ridiculous.
Yeah, no, I remember, and I felt bad because I had you guys watch it for this.
Yes, you did.
It does have. I was gonna say it does have my favorite quote, probably one of my favorite quotes this year.
I know what it is.
John Henry was so big he split his mama in two. You didn't need to say that.
Yeah, we showed that clip, and when he was in there with his what is it, aunt? Or
Yeah. It was like it was a hood movie that they went back and went like, oh, let's add a John Henry angle to some of these scenes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The number 4 movie was something that I had on my list. I believe this was at number 6. I can't remember. But number 4 for the worst movies of 2020.
On this perilous journey.
That speaks for all of us. Dr. Doodle.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much more to add after we all, dogpiled on it the first time. Yeah. But even just looking at that, I was like, oh yeah, the CGI was really terrible in a lot of scenes in this. But just the fake sentimentality throughout all of it, it was just so like, can we please stop? You don't do this with the swelling music and trying to get everybody on board with what you're doing unless you've earned it, unless you've really built that up. And that's not happening here. And yeah, just nothing but punch up and to end in a big fart joke, an elaborate fart joke. Yeah. And it's like, and it's one of those where you're like, man, I'm pulling for this because Tony Stark had to die for you to make this movie. Yep. And this was not at all worth it.
Let's go to the number. What is this? The number 3 movie on Martin's list of the 2020 worst movies. I'm sorry, we ain't going through 2020 movies. Of the worst movies of 2020.
What's this about? We have information that your client may have tucked away a very large sum of money.
That is Capone.
Yeah, this movie is pointless. I don't have a whole lot to go on past what we've already said about how we just watched this and went like, why are you doing this? But yeah, this is one I just felt like it was a chance for an actor who likes to transform himself and do different things. And it's like, yeah, that's not always a good thing. This really needs some reining in, or maybe just some not doing at all.
Close to mine, actually. Yours is right on with mine. Number 2 worst movies of 2020.
Sometimes we have to do things we don't want.
Help you. What you're talking about is illegal.
And that is Songbird.
Yes. On top of everything else we said about it, the thing I thought about watching this movie by the time it was done, I was like, man, you were capitalizing on this pandemic, that something we're all suffering through, just for this lame tale that's partly a really small, supercilious romance and partly propaganda. And kiss my ass. You could have easily not have made this movie.
All right. Shit, well, that's the way to actually cap off a review. Kiss my ass.
Very succinct. Very succinct.
Yeah. There's no reason to keep going on.
Yeah. Well, folks.
If I say more, somebody might watch it out of curiosity. Don't do that.
All right. Well, then this brings us to the number 1 movie right here. Now, I talked about a movie earlier where I said I forgot that movie existed. This is a movie that I did not even know existed. And pulling it up right here.
And I know about this movie because a big deal was meant about it. It was said about it when the film studio sent it to me initially, and then they brought it back up saying like, hey, consider this for best of the year. And I was like, oh, I forgot about you, but thanks for reminding me.
Well, I don't know if I was sent this link either, but I did not see it. It sounds like it's a good thing I didn't. At the number 1 movie on Martin's list for the worst films of 2020, it's probably something I'm sure most people are going to say, what the fuck is this?
Mm-hmm.
That's just my whole life. I'm already dead.
Martin, the struggle though, Martin.
Yeah.
Martin, when it looks like the slaves are revolting.
Yeah,
They ain't nothing to get behind.
Yeah, the one slave is revolting. This movie's called Emperor, and it's one of those where, well, he was named one thing, but he changed his name to Emperor. I was like, all right, it's always gonna be something like that. Tyler, the Creator. His child is whipped and his wife is killed. He kills his slave masters and he's on the run, and going from town to town until he eventually joins up with John Brown and Frederick Douglass, which is a very problematic scene to begin with.
Man, it sounds like the Avengers of Slavery.
Yeah. And he goes to fight with John Brown at the Battle of Harper's Ferry. It's all very TV movie-like up to a point. The dialogue's really terrible. I'm reading about it. You know, what happens. In the Battle at Harper's Ferry, it's almost like the Alamo, where it's celebrated, but they do lose. And they're captured. John Brown's executed. Like, everybody's captured is prosecuted. Except this movie decides to do a Quentin Tarantino and change things. Where Emperor has a big 80s action movie shootout that leads to a cannonball explosion that blows him in the air into a lake where he swims away and runs off into the sunset. And I was like, wow, this movie is already poorly written.
Yeah.
And Harry Lennox, who is a good actor, having him on as Frederick Douglass, you're already like, I don't know about this. But the way they change it and do that ending, I was like, man, fuck you.
I see the guy that played Frederick Douglass went to the same store that Tyler Perry gets his
Yes,
beard.
exactly.
Got himself a mustache shoe and a beard.
That
one
mustache
day.
especially.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes.
That's Elmer's glue, by the way.
And I get your heart is in the right place, but it's a movie that makes Harriet look like 12 Years a Slave. Honestly, it's just short of being a parody on the Boondocks, like Catcher Freeman.
Yeah.
So much of it.
Yeah.
And by the time it got to the end with that action, I mean, it is straight out of a 80s action movie sequence. I was like, wow, man, fuck you for even bringing me here and try to think you're something better than what you are.
Emperor would be number 2 if you remembered another film.
Yes,
right here.
had I remembered 365 Days, Emperor would have been number 2.
Yeah, 365 Days we talked about earlier. That is we talked about it ad nauseum. It's
the rape movie.
If we put
The
this,
rape movie, yes, just call it that.
Yeah, if we put this up on YouTube, then you will know from if this is split up in parts, you know this is the quote unquote rape movie that made me go off and made number 1 on my list. Probably would have made Martin's number 1 on his list too had he remembered, but I don't blame him for forgetting this shit. All right, people, we have been doing our worst movies of 2020 in a top 10 list. I've done mine. Martin did his. Now it is time for Chris Herman over here to reveal his top 10 worst movies of 2020. Let's start with number 10 right here.
Minister Malcolm X.
Good news, the chariot is coming.
Who's the greatest? That's right.
Jim Brown takes the ball.
One Night in Miami, man. What was wrong with this movie? Too many black people?
Too many black men.
Too many black people.
Listen, you guys had a lot of movies this year, okay? So let's take it easy. You had Soul. All right. I was just like, all right. Gotta drop it down a peg. We need more white movies. That's what I'm saying.
All right. Let's go ahead and look at your number 10 movie. Is something that we already talked about right here. At number 10, you have as one of your worst movies of 2020. It's this movie right here.
Daddy, don't look at that. Come on. Don't you look at you. Look at me. You try.
That is. Always try.
We're trying to make a good movie here. We're just sorry. This is not that good, man. I don't know what it is.
Hillbilly Elegy.
Listen,
and we told you about this before you saw it.
You did. And I was like, okay, I gotta check this out just for some of these scenes. And I just, I got caught up in it. I was like, I had to see the entire thing, and I shouldn't have done that because this was such a goddamn waste of time. I didn't care to see those generations because what I see is Amy Adams and Glenn Close who are acting like goddamn bog people who are just thoroughly ridiculous. I'm sorry, but they gave some of the most embarrassing performances of the year. through. This is the modern day Trump voter. This is their experience. I'm like, after what we just saw recently, that's what made me add this. 'Cause I didn't have this in my top 10 list. I was like, you know what? No, because if you're telling me that I should care about these people who are racist, who have so much hate in their heart for other people, it's just like, I don't care about that. And matter of fact, this movie is a little morally reprehensible. And the whole thing about that author, where he's going in there and saying, like, pick you up yourself off by your bootstraps. He's exploiting these people too. Yeah. So all around, it's just a bad movie.
Chat, what do you think Chris's number 9 worst movie of 2020 is? Let's go ahead and ask them real quick. Let's see what we got here. Oh, I see some guesses here. I see one guess that is correct. And whoever guessed this movie right here, give yourself a pat on the back.
Guys.
Oh.
So what? We're
I did see
Guardians of
this.
the Galaxy now?
On our 6.
That is Monster Hunter.
We have gotten to a point now in film and TV and animation where we can expect to get good video game movies. And so now there's no more excuses here. And I'm sorry, stop putting your wife in movies. She's not a good actress. She's not good in this. It's the kind of thing where we've experienced this for how many, 6, 7 Resident Evil movies? And you think maybe he would do something, maybe he would take some of that criticism, but no, he's just doing the same mistakes over and over and over again. And I feel sorry for, because I'm not even a big Monster Hunter fan. Like, I tried the game, this wasn't for me, but I feel bad for fans that he bastardized another franchise. And I doubt you're going to, thankfully, hopefully, I'm hoping for you guys here, you're not going to get another one of these, because it bombed worldwide and it's not doing well on streaming services either. So you have that to look forward to. But no, we're at a point now, we can expect good video game movies, and I'm tired of this schlock in here.
So I did see this movie.
Yeah.
And because I don't have a video game reference for it, the first 2/3, even 3/4 of it, I had fun with. It wasn't until Ron Perlman shows up that I was like, okay, I'm not liking it so much now. But up to that point, I was like, this is kind of fun. I'm digging it.
I gave it a rental. I liked it too. That's why when we did the review, the whole time I was like, man, I didn't think it was that bad.
It is bad, okay?
Yeah, really. I knew he was gonna go off. I was like, man, they just made their own thing, but hey,
well, they made their own thing, but it's supposed to be based on a game. It's like, at least be somewhat respectful of the original source material. And he's just like, no. And instead of entrusting the material itself, where we're going to immerse you in that world, we're going to bring in the whole real world modern day element where we have these soldiers. Like, we've seen this so many times with so many properties, and that just showcases to me you have no confidence in this property.
I have no remembrance of what I gave this movie. I saw it. I made us watch it. Did I give this?
Everyone forgot about it because it was so boring.
Yeah,
I think you gave it a matinee. I think you think you're.
Get the hell out of here. My memory ain't that bad. I'm sure. I know. I gave this some bullshit. No, I did.
We shamed you. That's right. It was like you gave it a rental, but we shamed you.
No, you did. No, you
yes,
did.
You did.
Not.
Yes, we did.
No, you did not. This was some bullshit right here, and it is your number 8 worst movie of 2020. It would probably be on my list too if there weren't some other offensive things out there to put in its place.
Must have been a pretty bad fall. The comet you see in the sky right now passes over the Earth every 6 years.
Even Martin is like, that exists.
No. I came across it. I was like,
Well, you know what? It's jujitsu.
Yeah.
Before I pass it on to him, I tell you, man, this was such a straight-to-video thing that I was like, it's bullshit, but it's all right.
There were parts of it I had fun with. Some of the fight scenes early on.
Yeah, not this man over here, though.
No, I really disliked it. The thing is, it's a familiar premise. It's literally Predator. It's
Maybe
straight up Predator.
You're right. I probably did.
Yeah.
Because it reminded me of those movies that I saw in the 80s.
Yeah, Predator meets Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, very, very similar. Yeah, because they have to go to the whole other world or fight this thing. But the one actor you have is Nicolas Cage, and he's being Nicolas Cage, kind of crazy Nicolas Cage, but not enough. You'll give him several scenes, and it's like, okay, that was fun. I could use an entire movie just based around him. How do you make him a main character? Because he seems to be the only one that's actually caring about this the material right now. But even the stuff that they pull with him at the very end of the movie to kind of have some connection with the main character.
That's pretty bad.
That is just lazy shit.
Yeah.
Oh, and it's terrible.
And they also, you have a lot of stereotypical things. I forget what the one lone black actor they have in here. And he's just screaming, hollering, playing a step and fetch a character the whole time. It's like, you got to be kidding me. So I was thoroughly disappointed in this film. It's boring. The action sucks. And Nicolas Cage is crazy as wasted. And you shouldn't waste his crazy because it is. I I love it.
Let's get to your number 6 movie. Number 6 worst movie, according to Chris Herman over here, of 2020.
Citizens, we are under attack from northern invaders.
I am blessed with 2 daughters. I will fight.
Oh, God. Don't kill me, man. Don't kill me, please.
That flop.
Yeah. Come on, man. Look at you really like, I'll suck your dick, man. Come on. Let me go home, man. One of many bad things in the film.
Mulan, the remake, the live-action remake.
Mulan,
the live-action remake from Disney in 2020, also known for being a huge business fail for trying to put it on there for $30 in addition to paying for the service itself.
One of the many horrible things about the film, outside the film itself. I'm not asking for much. Where it's like Disney's been doing these live action remakes for the past. I mean, for forever, really. And God damn it, that's what this movie needed was a talking dragon. We needed some personality because that's what this film lacks is any semblance of personality. It's like okay, you're not going to focus on the personality or the songs or the whimsy or the magic and everything. Even though you occasionally shoehorn it in there with a random phoenix no one cares about. Everything is just really big, bombastic CGI, and this is an aesthetic thing for me personally. I really don't like that is it called Wuhan style? Wushu, where it's a lot of wire work. I was like, yeah, there's nothing feels has any weight to it. And even before, they go back and forth. Sometimes we're going to use it, and sometimes we don't. So you don't really establish a fighting aesthetic in the movie that's consistent.
This is the review that kind of made you legend right here, man.
Changed everything.
Yeah. That's what they called you, the angry guy. You actually had that moniker after this.
Unhinged.
For your number 5 worst movie of 2020, which is...
Scoob, do you realize where we are?
No.
Light came down from the sky and beamed them up.
I like the way Martin is laughing to rub it into
I know. Why he's laughing.
You like this movie?
I like this movie.
We are
diametrically opposed.
Diametrically opposed.
I was in the middle of y'all. Like I thought it was just a low rental. You thought it was bullshit. Martin thought he said it was a matinee. He liked it. So.
I think I might have given it a fuck you, honestly.
Wow. You might have.
I think I might have. The thing is, it's like I'm just sick of these kind of animated films where it's like we're gonna take a property. Like Scooby-Doo or whatever. There's a million of them. And all we're going to do is going to put in a whole bunch of modern day references. It's just a lazy film. And it did it had the Warner Brothers version of a cinematic universe where it's like, we're just going to throw all this shit together and see if it works out. And where we're just going to have these people come in here and they kind of don't really all mesh, but it doesn't matter because we're going to move on to the very next thing. It's just lazy.
And there's some things I really did like. I like Mark Wahlberg as the Blue Falcon. I thought he was funny.
I hated him so much.
I thought he was funny. Because I'm often critical about everything you're saying, like just being lazy and throwing in modern references. So I was like, man, these are actually funny, and they're bringing in characters that I haven't seen in a while, and working it into the story. I dug it.
What is your number 4 movie as far as the worst movies of 2020 go?
Doodle.
Hello, Maddie. Hello, lunch. This is very bad.
Oh, that
fucking bug. Yep. All right. What you got to add to this?
Can't stand that song anymore. It's everything you guys said. Like, you know what? I remember when I even first saw this trailer, I was like, you know what? I kind of like the whimsy of it, and Doolittle and Robert Downey Jr. It'll be charming. It's anything but charming. I hated him. I was hoping it's like, okay, maybe one of them will die. Like get some Schadenfreude pleasure from their death. But I was denied even that, and it was just fart joke after again modern day references and random scenes. Like the one thing, like when we saw this together in the theater, which was one of my favorite.
It was my second time.
It was because he made a bet with a chat.
Yeah.
And they were like, yes, you got to do this. Just random scenes that they were like, why is this even here? It's just horrifically edited and way too long. This is over 2 hours. And like now, that's the big reason why it's so high on my list. I feel if it's not, it feels like it, and it didn't need to be. This could have been a 90-minute movie made for kids, and it was made for toddlers.
It's funny how Dr. Doodle is like the Fantastic Four, where every movie that should get better actually gets worse than the one before it.
Mm-hmm. This is your number 2, sir.
Number 3.
Number 3.
Strong, son. And smart.
He is suspected to have been behind some of the biggest robberies ever.
Artemis Fowl, everybody.
This is the very definition of a film that literally has its teeth ripped out of it. Where Disney took the Artemis Fowl property, which the whole concept, for those who might be unfamiliar with it, is what if your main protagonist or antagonist was a little Hans Gruber? And Disney went, we just can't do that. That's a little aggressive. So let's just turn it into literally a Disney Channel original movie where he's actually just really a good guy. He just wants to help his dad. It's like, that's not the book in any capacity.
Yeah.
It's like, then why don't you just do a new thing? Why do you have to bastardize this actually really original and fun children's book series?
Name recognition?
Yeah, because that's all it has in common with the books is the name itself. Aside from that, it's poorly acted. The child that they have playing Artemis Fowl, who apparently is the grandson of a great actor, Robert Shaw. None of that talent passed down the gene pool. This is an embarrassment for Disney, and it probably killed the possibility of many Artemis Fowl adaptations to come. Like, you know what? I'm hoping another company will actually have the balls to get this property and do it right. Someone like an Amazon or maybe even like an FX to have fun with it and make Artemis Fowl the true sociopath he's always destined to be, and not this wannabe.
No, I give it to you. That's why I was on my list at first, because this is a movie that commits the crime of taking a property and changing it from what it really was that made it appealing. Mm-hmm. And just so we can give it more wide appeal with something that's inoffensive and kids can take without their parents complaining. And that's not what this movie's about. No. I mean, that's not what the story is about. Exactly. That's not what the book is about. Mm-hmm. Again, going to something that we've already talked about, something that we've already covered, but this will be your first time talking about this, at least in this capacity. Your number 2 worst movie of 2020 is...
Get out now.
Afraid this is impossible.
365 Days, which we've covered as the rape movie.
Yeah, it is literally the rape movie. I was back and forth with this in my number 1, but I said, okay, this one I saw a while ago. Well, that one was more fresh in my mind. We'll get to that in a second. But no, it's just as thoroughly offensive towards women and anyone who has good taste. And watching this film brought to mind a saying I heard throughout my entire life growing up. And
that's right, you're Polish.
I am Polish, and it's dyspokój. And dyspokój typically means in Polish, it can mean several things, but it means just shut up. And that's why when I was watching this film, just like, dyspokój, shut up, be quiet, fuck off. This movie deserves as much vitriol thrown on it, and the people that made it. I don't like to get personal, but it's like, this is a disgusting film.
I already said what I had to say. Can't add on to that. Only thing I got to ask, I guess we got to look at the next one for me to ask this question. So for that, let's go to your number 1 worst movie of 2020. And again, this is the movie that we already talked about. Yeah. We've covered, but you still probably have more to add. And the number 1 worst movie 2020 according to Chris J. Herman is...
Whoa, I'm immune. Every little thing.
Sarah, what's going on?
Not if Chris has anything to say about that.
This pandemic that we've been going through is one of the worst periods, I think, in modern human history, what we've certainly experienced in our time here on Earth. It has this message of, no, don't trust your government, don't be respectful of other people or the health. No, the thing that really matters is love and to do what you want to do. That's the American way. Fuck you. That is a horrible message where you just disrespect all these people to propagate your propaganda. It's like, get out of my face. This is again another morally reprehensible and disgusting film. Like, the main storyline is just boring. Like, there's some other interesting ideas here, as ridiculous as they may be, but I was bored and offended throughout it. So no, a horrible film, and in my opinion, the absolute worst movie of 2020.
And there you have it. That is everyone's list of top 10 worst movies of 2020.